Hey, this is Brandon Crawford from the San Francisco Giants, and you're listening to Torture Cast.
You're listening to a podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants.
Let's go, Giants!
With hosts Willie Dills, Chad King, Ben Lee, and Eric Nathanson. Dedicated to the greatest team in Major League Baseball, the San Francisco Giants. This is Torture Cast.
Standing on time, not gonna stop. We came to play, ain't slowing down. Falling on, we're here to stay, and we're stomping on whatever's in our way. I'm feeling like a Giant tonight.
It's Thursday, March 2nd, 2017, and this is episode 116 of the TortureCast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. I'm your host tonight, Chad King, and joining me tonight are two fine gentlemen from across this country, one not so far away in San Francisco. Ben, how are you?
Hi, my legs are really tired, actually. I haven't been doing enough activity-wise, and since the Giants are back in spring training, I said, you know what, I'm going to go and do a thing today. So a friend and I decided we would walk from the Golden Gate Bridge Toll Plaza to Sausalito.
Wow, that's a good hike.
And then took the boat back because there was no way we were doing that twice. But it was really fun, actually. I'm glad I got outside. I'm glad I got to see some sunlight and be a human being on my day off. So that was. It was very exciting, and now I regret everything, but that's fine, because that's usually how that's supposed to work when you do exercise things, right?
Yeah, I've never done that walk before.
Best shape of my life, guys. Best shape of my life.
Is that a long walk?
For across the bridge is about 2 miles, but to Sausalito is like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Depending on the route you take.
A little bit further. You didn't go through the tunnel, of course.
It's gorgeous, but it was not. Oh no, you can't do that.
I know you can't. No, the Robin Williams tunnel.
It is a gorgeous hike to take, but it was also a long one.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, hopefully you're not going to be too winded for tonight. So also joining us from Florida, he's already been exposed to a little bit of sun and baseball down there already, which I just found out tonight. Eric, how you doing?
I'm doing well, like you said. I'm holding a baseball in my hand that some random Braves pitcher from the bullpen tossed me on Monday as we were heading out the door after seeing Braves Cardinals. So I'm
7 or something.
Yeah, I have no idea. I think he had a jacket up pullover on too. Everybody left. It was like no kids around, and I was standing there with my gloves, so he threw it to me. So I'm all ready for baseball. I'm all jacked. I'm all kind of pissed. His name was Sims. Apparently his name was Sims. I didn't know that. Yeah, so I'm all excited for baseball, and it's over 4 weeks away. So it's nice that we have a little bit of things to talk about right now.
That's right. So this is our first spring training podcast, if you will. We're still in our own spring training form. We got Ben trying to walk 500 miles before podcast.
Trying to get back into mid-season exhausted before we even turn the mics on form, guys.
Yeah, but you and I have some good training going on right now. I mean, we got these allergy pollen things going on in the Bay Area, so that's good. Testing our lungs here.
Right. Hopefully. Get that
you guys made it.
Up to snuff.
You've been making it through the rains, though. I would hope. I mean, I saw it's been pretty bad over there.
Yeah,
it's been pretty rough in all areas. Chad's closer to some of the areas that were affected by flooding than I was. I got out of it pretty. It was very wet, but I was otherwise pretty scot-free. The South Bay took it a lot harder.
Yeah, no, it's been fun. We're still drying out. I still have water, actually. It hasn't rained for 5 days, and we still have water coming out of our driveway, so it's a pretty interesting time.
Oh, gosh.
So yeah, spring is sprung. The Giants are in full swing in camp right now. Not everyone is there, but we'll get to that later. But the Giants have a record 71 players in camp this year, which they don't really keep official records of this every year. But
at what point do they hit the luxury tax on that, Chad?
Yeah, exactly. You're over the cap. I mean, if they can get to 71 by inviting all these non-roster guys and veterans and everything, why not just, throw in a couple more celebrities, a couple of housewives, maybe the owner can go down
Tim
there.
Tebow, that was he's on the farm system.
Never
mind.
God,
sorry.
I hate do that. I know. That's a topic
it's spring
for
training.
another day.
It's
But they got 71 players in camp. So I was trying to do the math. I mean, how many? I guess they haven't retired 29 numbers. The Giants haven't. Not that many yet. But I wonder if they ever would get to a point where they would run out of two-digit numbers for.
You
for
start
camp.
handing out double zeros. Somebody gets like a 104 on their back.
That's what I want to see. I want to see triple digits on someone's back one year.
We've
You
got
got to
101.
figure it's
like
it's the
100 years.
WBC. You got to figure it's the WBC with how many guys are in camp.
That's got to be a big part of it. Absolutely.
They're going to need to give people time off, so they
And
got
the
to
Giants
throw
are
somebody
losing-
out.
Giants are losing a few guys to the WBC for different countries and different teams. You got to have some kind of depth to at least, and it's a great excuse to get to audition a bunch of guys who are in your system or who are who didn't otherwise have an invite to the dance. Like, hey guys, we're gonna lose some of our better people, like 2 or 3 weeks in. So who wants to try and get a job?
Well, I was looking at the active roster, the 40-man roster, and then they have a little tab for the non-roster invitees. And they're like 5 catchers in camp I've never even heard of.
Yeah, and I'll never hear of them again either.
They literally have like 8 catchers in camp. Of course, we know about Hunley, Brown, and Posey, but the other 5, I was like, who are these guys? I don't even know.
Wait a
if they-
minute.
Fedorovich. Yeah,
How do you not remember
Fedorovich is
Tim
it.
Fedorovich?
Oh, that's true. Fedorovich, yeah.
I mean,
got
such
me
as
there.
that is, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
No, yeah, he's the only
I mean,
one.
we remember him wearing a color that we hate, but the fact remains, like, he's in camp and he's a Giant right now, so okay, sure, run with it.
He has a great chance of making the team.
No
Let's talk
idea
about
who
the Fedorovich
Matt Penn is,
era
though.
in Giants history. So anyway, they got a lot of Giants in camp. It's I guess it's pretty crowded down there, but they did start off the spring nice with 3 straight wins. Kind of hit a stumbling block lately. They've lost 5 in a row, including their split squads, which again, no one really cares. Every year you look at spring training stats or standings, they don't mean a darn thing. But you do want to see
Brandon Crawford's batting .091 right now. Absolutely should not make the team out of. Okay, I
he
can't,
is horrible.
I can't even do it. I can't do it. With
you
a
can't
straight
even
face.
muster up the proper acting technique there.
I tried to. I can't even sarcasm that one.
That
we're what,
hike just took it out of you. I get it. You're
Are we
tired.
are we
You're
like a
physically
week into
exhausted.
games now? If that, I think
Not even.
not even. There's
Yeah.
like one player on the Giants who's played 7 games, and that's Austin Slater, number 89. And I'm guessing that he probably got into 2 like split squad games here and there or something. Like,
Yeah, I think 9 and 10 at bats is the most that people have really. 12. Look at that, Parker. 12 at bats is the most at bats I think that anybody's had so far.
Yeah, we're not.
no,
talking
Christian
about a lot
Morrow
of
has had
games here.
14 at bats, sir.
My bad.
You
I'm
can
sorry.
take
Forgot
your
about-
smaller sample
about Morrow.
sizes, and you can.
He's the guy that's making noise now that everybody's like, wow, and then we're all gonna forget who the hell he is 5 weeks from now. Some guy did that in 14 when I was down there, and I can't tell you his name now. That's how much of an impression these guys end up making.
Isn't that funny?
I got
Every
to think about
spring, there's always those random guys from every team that they're just flashes in the
we call him
pan.
that guy?
Yeah, that guy's
No.
promise. You
Yeah.
never hear from him again. Yeah.
Why
Right.
didn't we call him that guy? No.
Because the pitchers aren't ready yet, and they're hitting,
No.
off the pitchers that aren't ready yet.
Well, and that's the other thing. By the way, here's a plug in case you missed it. A 3 weeks ago, I did go up to AT&T Park and interviewed 7 or 8 Giants for Media Day. And that was one of the things I asked some of the pitchers, including Samardzija, like, what do you work on in spring training? I mean, and for the veterans, it really is. They're working on different grips, deliveries, arm slots. They're just fooling around. They're working on control. They're not results oriented. And I already see it.
The consistency is different, so you're just trying to stumble into something.
Yeah, and I think you see it on Twitter. I've already seen people. Oh wow, Bumgarner's given up 3 runs in 4 innings, and Samardzija has an ERA of 10 when he's pitched 2 innings.
He's
Things
got
like
a
that.
slider grip that you've never seen before in your life.
Yeah, and
So
so
weird that he doesn't
Chad,
make the F face when he. All right,
Well, Chad, you mentioned that interview with Samardzija. He's smarter than I thought he was.
Yeah.
He had a very good approach to how to manage a pitching staff. I was kind of – he didn't take a shot at Bochy from last year saying there was no defined closer, but Samardzija's pretty smart. I can see him understanding and adapting as he gets older as a pitcher here.
Yeah, no, and I was trying to be careful and not insult him about some of the bad starts he had last year. I can't remember how I framed it, but I think I framed it in a fairly constructive manner.
Yeah, you did. You were good.
But he addressed those issues as well, some of the inconsistencies he had last year. Because he would be good for 2 or 3 starts, and then just it's like, where did he go? He looked like a double-A farmhand, just with the meatballs, just everything getting hit over the fence, and quite a few walks and everything. But he obviously recognizes that, which any pitcher would. What? I had bad starts last year? Where's the tape? Where are your alternative facts?
I'll believe
Fake
it when you.
news. That's
Fake
totally fake news.
Fake stats.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Fake stats.
We started to do this last
love
time
it.
too. This is bad.
Huh.
Try not to get political here.
We'll never get through this one.
No.
Not the
Anyway.
stats that are fake. It's the stats that are fake. Okay.
So
Yes.
changing the subject back to camp, we do have quite a few. Well, I should say quite a few. We have 3 or 4 Giants playing in the WBC. We got Posey, Crawford, Cueto, and
Maybe.
is that it? Is it those 3?
I think so. I
Well,
can't
okay,
imagine that there's
Cueto.
anybody else.
So right now we have Johnny Cueto. He hasn't even been to the U.S. yet. He's taking care of his ill father, which is commendable if that's really what's going on. I mean, that's pretty cool that he's hanging back there trying to make sure that he can get his dad. He wants to get his dad in the States, basically, and so they're going through a lot of paperwork there because he wants to be
Trying to
able
get
to
his
take care of
passport
him
so they
here.
can try and get his visa so that they can try it. So he's kind of he's pretty
he
stuck.
wasn't well enough to travel. Yeah, he wasn't well enough to travel for a while, so it delayed getting those documents. And I don't think anybody cares because it was announced today he's not going to play for the Dominican in the first round of the WBC.
That's correct.
But he will play if they get to the semis and the finals.
Yeah,
Right.
I think the Giants
Maybe.
probably would
Not-
have been pretty
maybe not
upset if he'd
maybe.
gone straight to the WBC, without stopping by spring training and limbering up first, the health risk.
Right.
But you have to imagine he's putting in some work here and there where he can, but it's not an easy time, I imagine, for him to be able to take care of that. So credit to him for doing what he can.
Yeah, the Giants have a complex down there, and so he's been working with staff down there in terms of
Okay.
throwing to hitters and that kind of thing. Granted, it's not the same level competition, but at least he's staying limber and loose, and his form is going to be there. Bochy, they interviewed him today, and he said, yeah, by all accounts, he's pretty much on target in terms of how much he's throwing and all of those things. So he's confident that Cueto is going to be ready for the beginning of the season. And so, and to be honest, from the Giants' perspective, the fewer starts he makes for the WBC, probably the better. They wouldn't say that necessarily publicly, but
No.
But
I'll say it
yes,
publicly. I'm totally. I don't mind this at all. If Cueto
No.
needs some time, I mean, he's Johnny Cueto. I mean, he really doesn't. He's one of those guys. He's an elasticity kind of guy. I'm not worried about him.
that's crazy. It's like over a whole off season. Sometimes for me myself, I don't know about you guys, I forget about some players who were better than I remember, and some players who are actually worse than I remember. And to me, Cueto is like, oh yeah, he's solid number 2. Probably him and Bumgarner, one of the best 1-2 punches in the game. Blah blah. I forgot he won 18 games, only lost 5.
Yeah.
And he had, 2.79 ERA.
No, he was outstanding last year.
I mean, I just forget about those numbers sometimes, and it's like you look back at him, you just damn, what an asset to the Giants. I mean, just if they were ever to lose him this year, I think you could kiss 2017 goodbye, no doubt.
Well,
but
Hunter Pence talked about it in the interviews that you guys got to do on Media Day, because he said, imagine if we had Game 5 going back with Cueto. I mean, that's how confident they were with Cueto at that point. It was a regular thing for him to go out and win every 5 days, and it's like we've had the top. It's the top of the rotation is settled, and it's not something we've had the last few years. And with Johnny Cueto, we know what he can do. Plus, he can opt out of his deal this year, so he's going to be pitching for a championship and some money.
yeah. And then it was funny too, because that it brought up a lot of there was a common question. It was most questions to all the players that I heard were excited about Melanson, of course, because everybody's focused about the closers debacle last year, and specifically how it ended the season, of course. And that was also addressed, like how tough was it, that last game, and do you think you would have won Game 5? How far do you think you could have got? All the standard press questions, which I think probably are fairly annoying to the players. It's like, yeah, I do think we could have won Game 5, and yeah, I think we could have won it all. What else am I going to say? You know what I mean? But
Right.
they try to put it in more politically
You
correct
think,
terms. But you could see, especially Matt Moore, because I was literally standing right in front of him and talking to him and this other reporter. And I mean, you could kind of just see the hurt in his face. He was really, I mean, they were all disappointed, don't get me wrong, but he just seemed to more physically express it that I've noticed in during media day. Not that they all weren't bummed, but just to relive that. I mean, we were all pretty upset as fans, but to remember that, you know, a lot of these, and I think one of the reasons he, of course, it affected him more is because he was the guy that was pulled, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And
he pitched a gem.
He had to watch it after he had done so much good in that. Yeah, no, I can see why he'd be wearing that coming into even in the media day.
I certainly didn't want to ask him about the whole Bochy, you know, did he pull you too early thing, but he was asked that, and he was very good
somebody
about
was
it.
bound to ask him because it's a hard-hitting question.
Yeah,
so,
right.
okay.
I know exactly.
Yeah, sure.
And he was good about it. He's like, yeah, I still felt good, but I mean, I had 120 something pitches, and Bochy's a Hall of Fame manager. I had no problem with the decision. So either he was, you know, I think he believed those words, but at the same time, as a competitor, I'm sure he would have relished the opportunity to go back out and try to close it down. But regardless,
it's funny. Well, you mentioned that. The flip side of that was Melanson, who you mentioned. It was very telling how he talked about, you know, he seems to feel like him shoring up the bullpen could really be an asset to winning a championship. And he talked about, you know, the Gold Glove infield behind him, and that's why he came over here. And it was because of, you know, the people like Matt Moore and Bochy specifically. He said Bochy knows how to, you know, manage it, and he can handle it. It goes to show that they went out and got it. It was really interesting to hear Melanson talk about how, you know, these guys, like he said, he talked to the phone, you know, with Posey, how they all kind of recruited him, but he kind of seemed like he wanted to be here anyway. He might be a natural fit here.
Yeah, San Francisco was his number one target by far. He was super excited to come here. But boy, he is a chill dude, man. He is just laid back. He like doesn't. You know, they were asked, one of the guys, I think it was Bruce McGowan, was like, "Well, you don't really get 2 up or 2 down, do you?" And he's all, "Nah." He's pretty much part of the closer's role. He's like, "You just can't." He's like, "You can't get too amped because that's going to affect the way you pitch." You can't let stuff
fluster you, right?
Yeah, and then if you blow a save, you can't get too down about it. You just got to put it away and say, "Hey, closers blow one once in a blue moon, or the guy got a lucky hit, or whatever," and just move on, and you just reset for the next day. He does seem like he's very stable. You know what I mean? Very chill too. Very chill. So I think he is going to be a huge asset to this team. Yeah. I know he doesn't blow your doors off in terms of his velocity, but he's got all the deception.
Yeah, but the Giants don't blow your doors off. They don't hit a lot of home runs. They're not flashy. You know, the Giants.
They sneak through your doors when you turn your back for a second, is what they do.
Right. Yeah. So he fits right
didn't
in.
mean to accidentally leave second base uncovered, and wow, how is it suddenly 5-4? How is it suddenly 5-1? How did I throw in 4 runs?
Buster Posey, so he's got a little bit of a stiff neck. They say it's nothing serious. He's working through it. He's hoping to play tomorrow. And he, of course, is going to be playing for Team USA in the WBC, which he is genuinely excited about it. And that was one question I asked him and Crawford about the WBC.
Because last year they didn't want to get into that mix, or last WBC they didn't really want to get into that mix the same way. So it's actually going to be really exciting to see Posey and Crawford kind of jump in on that this year.
Yeah, so Posey was asked a long time ago. He said it was at the All-Star break last year where he was approached. And then Crawford was towards the end of the year, I guess. He got a text about it, and he immediately responded and said, "Hell yeah." When I was asking Hunter Pence about it, he looked pretty hurt. He definitely wanted to be asked. And I was like, sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up. Because I didn't realize that. I thought it wasn't a big deal. But he was like, yeah. He's like, I would have loved to have played, but... And I was like, oh, so you weren't asked? And he's all, oh. I was like, oh. Sorry about that.
Let me just unask the question.
Yeah, can I unask that question? I am so sorry.
He's
a funny guy. Speaking of which...
Hunter was still a lot of fun, though. That was a good one.
Yeah, he was in a good mood that day. He's usually in a good mood, but he's one of those guys. after talking to him several times and seeing other people other media interact with him, if you ask a question that there's certain questions that will bug him. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. Like 9 out of 10 questions are fine, and he answers them in a very cheerful manner, and he explains everything, and he smiles. And there's that one question, it just like hits him in a weird way, and he's like, he responds weirdly. He like asks a clarifying question. He gives you a short, curt answer, and you kind of go, "Oh, okay, he didn't like that one." But he's still a good guy. Brandon Belt, he was there that day. Unfortunately, I didn't get to talk to him. He's actually my favorite to interview because he is the most natural, I would say. He'll talk to you about anything. Nothing offends him. He'll elaborate on any subject. I
feel like this is like the least surprising thing I've heard about Brandon Belt.
Yeah, he is just wonderful. I'm actually bummed I missed him because I was trying to hop in between all the suites and tables, and before I knew it, he was gone. So unfortunately, I didn't get to him, but he's a good guy. So yeah, Pence, he shaved himself. What the hell is that? He looks like a newborn baby.
He's a married man now.
Yeah,
so
I wonder
confused.
if Alexis had anything to do with that, right?
Made him honest.
Yeah, going, you
something.
got to get rid of
Made
that
him
man
Amish?
bush.
No, he shaved. Oh,
No,
honest.
It made him,
Made him Amish.
You can't make
No,
the man
that's
a
the
Luddite. He
opposite.
plays far too much Hearthstone for that.
That's right.
Or did at one point. I don't know if he still is. I haven't seen him.
I don't know.
stream in a while, 'cause
I was going to
kinda
ask him
embarrassing
the
around
video game question, but I didn't do it this time just because I think he gets tired of it sometimes. But
you got to come up with new and strange ways to ask, or just go right in and be like, "So, my paladin is
yeah, just jump right into something, see if he latches on, right?
so Leroy Jenkins. Do you think he'd make
Leroy
a good
Jenkins.
outfielder or the best outfielder,
Oh, that would be good.
or would Leroy be a catcher? I'm just curious.
That wouldn't be a
Leroy
bad
would not be a good
idea. Have like
catcher.
5 questions related to video games and baseball and see if he can answer them. I like that idea. Think about that next time.
I'm a fan
So
of
anyway.
really dumb. I had one point where I really wanted to get somebody who does a nerd podcast on the show, and then ask him, so if you were going to try and set these 9 officers from the Starship Enterprise into a lineup, who do you put where? Just because you can. And it's, we don't necessarily have any obligation to ask the hard-hitting questions, even though we do once in a while hit a real good one. Like, once in a while, it's like, hey, tell me about this, because it's such a great window into like personalities of guys like Hunter Pence, and especially with the team that has clubhouse chemistry touted so often as one of the reasons that they're successful and that they do more than the sum of their parts are on paper. It's kind of nice to be able to get that view into how their heads tick in a way that isn't sort of the pre-written mental media line.
Right.
So those sounded like they were a bunch of fun.
Yeah.
So
No.
good on. I'm really bummed I couldn't make it this year.
Yeah, I was bummed you couldn't make it either. Last year, I invited Veronica Belmont, and she was able to make it. She could not make it this year. She's working full time now. She's kind of
Good on.
pretty much out of the whole. I mean, she still does some, entertainment
Meanwhile,
personality
for-
stuff, but yeah, it's for the company mostly. So she's kind of out doing all the podcasting and
I had
video
to run
and
out
stuff.
and do Jorb myself, so I hear that.
Yeah, I guess she realized she it was hard to make a living like that. So she's doing that. And of course, Willie's in. I don't know where he is tonight. He was supposed to join us, ladies and gentlemen, but he's got his
busy
burgeoning
man.
podcasting and streaming empire
Please,
going. So.
please don't ever use the word burgeoning in relation to Willie.
Yeah, he's. I guess his. I heard this the other day. I was on his stream, and I guess he calls his followers dillionaires now. I was like, what are you
I want
doing?
to be so much more surprised than I am.
Dillionaires.
So Chad, tell
I
me,
love it.
tell me who on the Giants has been as hot as Willie Dills is now. Because
He's hot,
if we're
baby.
going to use that as the benchmark, I'm sure that there's not an answer. But with that said, I haven't gotten to keep up on spring training as well as I normally do. What I'll do, even if I'm at work, I'll have audio playing for spring training games and stuff, and I just have been forgetting. I'm not back into the baseball swing of things yet. So I think
Because
I'm gonna
it's
have
March
to,
3rd.
Yeah, it's a little
We
earlier this
started.
year.
We got like 5 more weeks of this crap.
We started early too because of the WBC. You get
Yeah.
a ton of spring training this year, which is good for them. okay for most and really weird for us. So like I'm still trying to get used to the fact that there are games now, even though I love it. Games started before February was over. That's weird for me.
Yeah, isn't opening day for the Giants like April 2nd or something? So I mean, we got
It is. That's Sunday.
we got a
Yeah, there's a
full.
lot
I mean,
of
they've been
spring
going
training
for more than a week, almost 2 weeks, and they still have almost 5 weeks left. So I mean, this is
Right.
Yep.
real extended spring training this year because of the WBC.
I went to a
but-
baseball game on February 28th.
Yeah, that
How
is
cool is that?
a little odd.
And it wasn't an intra-squad game either.
No, it wasn't. I watched
was two
Mike
teams
Leake
that aren't
and
the
Mike
same
Fultonavich. I saw Giants legend Mike Leake. I mean, come on. It was
There you
a
go.
lifelong dream.
The legend of Leak.
Eric, I envy you more and more every day.
Oh, I tell you what, if I lived in the Phoenix, Scottsdale area, or down there in Jupiter or those areas in Florida, there's no doubt I'd be hitting up games at least once or twice a week. Just especially considering some of these parks just don't sell out at all. Unlike Scottsdale,
don't.
which is a pain in the butt. It's so freaking popular down there. That's why it's better to hit the Giants spring training road games that are like 45 minutes away.
But it is also good when the Giants are popular because many of you are listening to the Torture Cast. So come on back. Woohoo!
Touche. We could be
right,
talking about the
I'm not
Atlanta
arguing with that
Braves.
reasoning.
Like, do the Atlanta Braves have a podcast right now? Like,
Right?
do you think they're
That
going to
was
win
the
it
home
all?
team.
Uh,
That was the
no.
home team.
Okay, back to you. I mean, it's like,
It was
Not much
horrible.
to
There were
talk
more
about there.
Cardinals fans at the game than Braves fans. I'm not even kidding you. It was red everywhere.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
it's
rough.
on Disney. It's like on Disney property, so
Uh-huh.
like it can't feel like a good spring training experience for those Braves players. Like it's not the same interactive that like the Giants have. It's completely
I
different.
mean, I don't know if they necessarily care that much in context, but I think that like the Giants players probably feel a little better. I don't know if the Braves necessarily feel worse. But like if you're
Yeah,
going to compare the
it's
two,
ni-
like
it's
having a bunch
nice.
of people around,
Well, I think when you're fighting for a job and you do something good and the home team cheers for you, it's just that little extra boost. And if like most of the crowd's not even cheering for you, it does.
yeah, that's
doesn't
fair.
do much. You know what I mean? Like I know it's a little bit of an emotional influence. It didn't seem like a home field advantage. It was very sterile, but it was very Florida, and it was the Cardinals, and Cardinals fans suck. So, I totally get why they ended up taking over the little ballpark.
oh, man.
Tell us how you really no.
No, don't
man.
do that. Don't do that. So,
Yeah,
yes,
I mean,
you were...
my-
Go ahead.
Go for it.
Go ahead, Ben.
Just my experience with spring training tends to be that like it's nice having kind of some fans on your side, but at the same time the fans they're so much more muted because everybody is so much more chill in spring training that it's like just everything is more chill in spring training. If you're trying to like make the team, you're trying to relax, but you're probably stressed out a little bit. But for the most part, like you get into a spring training game, you're just kind of there. It's fun. It's interesting. You're walking around a lot. You cheer for your team when they do something good, yeah, but like I'd like to imagine that like you just deal with the fact that like Giants fans are going to show up everywhere if you're in Arizona, or like if you're like an A's fan and you go to spring training, you just kind of accept like your park is so far out of the way that it's just not going to be heavily sold out and so on. Like,
Well, that's the thing here. The Braves Park, it wasn't a place to walk around. There was just some food and stuff, and then that was kind of it. There was no like, Braves of the past signing baseballs here, and there was no interactive things. There was no real shop for things like that. It wasn't like Tom Glavine was standing out there shaking hands with the kids, or Gaylord Perry, like sits at Giant spring training. It was kind of like sterile and weird. But I'm gonna keep going back because it's the closest baseball.
How much are
can't
how much are
argue
the
there.
tickets down there?
It's $30, but you can get them for cheaper if you buy 4 or more, and then it's like $15 or $10 depending on which lawn you get on. And after going once, we sat first row right there on the down the first base line, down the right field line. So like I was in like Bartman territory, but on the right field side.
Right.
But like I could have just slid in there if I had bought a lawn ticket because there was nobody around us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
But
the.
I'm-
I mean, it's basic economics, but I think it is in a way unfortunate that spring training has gotten to the point where tickets, are being sold for that much. Which, I mean, let's face it. I mean, you got a family of 4, let's say, You know, you fly down, let's say California here, right? Because we've entertained the thought of bringing our kids down to spring training. And me and my wife have been together before, and I've been with the guys before. I've probably been about 4 or 5 times. And it is a blast. It is an absolute blast. And I'm not saying it's not worth it in terms of finances. But, I mean, okay, you're talking about airfare, which, of course, all the airlines jack up the rates because it's high demand during spring training. You know, Southwest and all that, it's like $350, $400 round trip to go an hour and 15-minute flight. Then you get your rental car. Then the hotels are insanely expensive because, again, supply and demand. Then you got your tickets, and like you said, you just spent $30. I mean, the Giants are charging a little bit more than that for their prime seats. I think some an upwards of $50, and they also have some of that dynamic pricing down there as well. And then you add your food and everything like that. I mean, you're talking thousands of dollars to do a weekend to see 3 baseball games, so you can see number 97 get a bunt base hit. I mean, right. It's frustrating at times that the economics have worked out as such that the demand is justified. You know what I mean? The cost is justified by the demand. I do wish it was back in the day. You know, you hear stories from, you know, my dad and other people. Oh yeah, we used to go down to spring training in the 80s or the 70s, and there's just no one around. You know, tickets were $2. You just walk in the park. There just wasn't a draw there. It was literally like, oh yeah, the major leaguers are practicing. Who cares about that?
No, it wasn't being marketed like it was yet.
And that's true, and that's the other thing too. Yeah. There's marketing, there's the internet, there's just social media, there's just everything else. It's gotten so popular.
Well, meeting the players was the draw, though. I remember we came down here to Disney. Yeah, we came down to Disney World when I was 10 years old, and then we came here to where I now live, Kissimmee, to go to Astro spring training, and I ended up meeting Yogi Berra, and I ended up watching the pitchers up close. And then, you know, we watched the spring training game that day, and it was the Astros versus the Royals. And Tom Gordon pitched before he ever made the big leagues. And like, I always remember that. So it's like, it's a memorable experience for the kid if the kid is old enough, but you only need like 1 or 2 days of that experience. You don't need more than that when you're going down to spring training.
That's true. That's true. It is a fun time. One of these years, I'm going to get back down there and hopefully even get a few interviews while I'm down there. So you were saying who's hot? We're not talking about the golden locks of Brandon Crawford, though, right? Yeah, we're not talking about.
No, he's perma-hot. A lot of hot has moved into the booth. Javier Lopez is now commentating for the Giants.
True. Yes, he is. Yes,
which I'm actually really looking forward to be totally honest. He's such a smart dude. Like,
God, that guy, he's almost intimidating to talk to because he is so smart. He really is just very eloquent. He definitely is a good delivery. He knows so much about the game. You know, those lefty specialists, right? And he was on with Marty Lurie over the weekend, and I was cleaning out my garage and I was listening to the post-game show. And it was an interesting interview because it was him and Romo and of course Casilla that were basically told ahead of time, we are not re-signing you. It's not happening.
There's not room for you.
We don't have room for you. It wasn't like, well, we're not sure. We'll see how things go. They were told straight up right away, we're not re-signing you. And Javi said that hurt, obviously, but
of course
he understood. But that there were some younger arms that are up and coming and developing, and he knew that his season was very, very, very subpar. And he said he had a couple of offers to go elsewhere. He didn't mention by name, but he said it was just really far. It wasn't a good fit for his family, and he said the teams weren't competitive, and he wanted to only play for a competitive team. So he said in the end, he just decided, you know what, I guess this is just the right time. I'm 38 years old to just, hang it up, whatever. And despite the fact that the Giants management told him that he was no longer wanted as a player, he didn't take it personally. And so when the offer came to do, and I know it's not like directly the Giants doing this, but to work with CSN and KMBR in terms of broadcasting the Giants games, he absolutely was for it because he says he really does feel like he bleeds black and orange because this organization has taken such good care of him over the years that he identifies as a Giant. And he said, what better way than to get back in and kind of tell that story from the player's side in the booth. And I just thought it was really cool because he's not holding any grudges. He realizes it's a business decision, and he's reached the end of his playing career. And he said, okay, this is it. This is the time, and I will transition into my next phase of a career. And so I'm looking forward to hearing him.
Which is, I think, what we've always expected out of Javier Lopez, that anything he did was going to be graceful. But
yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it, too.
Kruko and Kuiper being ex-players in the booth, they kind of laid a groundwork for guys that end up through the Giants system, because there's a reason Kruko and Kuiper have stuck around for so long, and not just their broadcasting. I mean, just to even get into the biz with the Giants themselves in the first place. Yeah, I know it's different. It's different management at this point, but there's just something about it, and I think that Javi sees that he might have a chance to kind of stick around for a little bit.
Yeah, especially with Kruko, his schedule is being impacted by his physical condition, so he's not going to be making a lot of these East Coast road trips, and that's just going to keep attenuating
around,
in the future.
Though, which is great.
Yeah,
but I mean, like, Javi Lopez has the opportunity here to spin this into, if he decides that he doesn't want to suddenly like start doing national analysis or something like that. If they get a better offer, this could be his job for 50 years from here out. Easy.
I think he totally has the chops to do that. Yeah, I totally
agree. He absolutely has the chops to do it, I think. From the little bits that I've heard, like he's intelligent and well-spoken and has such a critical eye of the game that, like, he is the same kind of perspective, even though he's not at all the same kind of person or speaker or viewpoint. He's the same kind of perspective as Kruko. He's a pitcher,
yes,
who can really tell you a lot about the mechanics, but also can tell you a lot about the psychology of the game, because I feel like psychology is, obviously psychology is Javier Lopez's thing anyway, but like psychology from a game perspective, it feels like he's going to have some really great insight, and that was part of what has made Kruko so good in the booth with Kuiper as it is. So I think you're gaining a different perspective, but you're going to a formula that has worked really well for Giants broadcasting.
Yeah.
Well, now we got to find an old middle infielder or a recently gone middle infielder. I mean, I don't know. Is Freddie Sanchez the answer?
No, that's what you do with well, actually, I haven't heard him speak in the situation, but that's what you do with Jimmy Rollins as soon as he's done.
There you go.
I'm actually not sure how Jimmy Rollins would do his play-by-play, to be honest. But
yeah, I don't think that's.
At that point, I think you have Javier take it over. But nonetheless,
yeah.
Man, we got to find somebody. I mean, he can't wait around for Panic. So
yeah, that's a little. Yeah, Kruk and Kuiper are going to be in their 80s by the time Panic's done, right?
Just bring back A-Ray Adrianza, guys. It'll be fun.
Speaking of Panic, trying to get back to this.
He's looking good.
He is looking real good. Hey, 2 jacks for the little guy, and 6 for 10. So Bochy said his swing just looks really effortless right now, and he couldn't be happier with the production and just the mechanics that he's putting out. It's early. These are all small sample sizes, but it's fun to talk about anyway, because, whatever. But the new guy, Hwang from Korea, and Gillespie, they each are 4 for 9 with a bomb. Jarrett Parker himself, he's got 2 bombs and 7 ribbies, and he's 4 for 12. Tyler Beatty's looking pretty good so far. 4 innings, no runs. He's allowed 4 hits and 2 walks, but his stuff and his command looks pretty decent. And then you put in there, of course, Arroyo started out 3 for 3. He's 3 for 7, but he's looking pretty good there in the infield. And of course, he's potentially the future third baseman for the Giants. That's what they're grooming him for. So he's not going to be making the team this year, and may not even next year. But that's what he's being groomed for.
They just came out. There was a story on Giants.com, Chris Haft, that Nunez is going to be their starting third baseman. They're not trying to keep him in a utility role, so that the backup infielders, the guys that are fighting for it, are literally fighting for a utility role. They apparently are going to stick with Nunez at third.
And I don't think you want Arroyo in a utility role if he's going to end up being your third baseman of the future. You want him playing every day in Sacramento.
Exactly. You want him to get those reps.
That's where I want him
playing
to start
in Sacramento. Yeah.
Yes.
I want Kelby Tomlinson for a utility role, but that's a totally separate concern.
Yeah, that's completely separate. And you got guys like Nunez, even though he's been reported to have the starting role now. He started out 1 for 10, Crawford's 1 for 11, but Again, Sprung, whatever. They got a batting average. Posey doesn't have a batting average. He's 0 for 3, right? He sucks. He's clearly not going to make the team.
That's horrible.
Him and Crawford, man. They go to the WBC, they won't have jobs when they come back, you swear.
I know. But, you bring up a good point with Nunez kind of being reported to have the starting role right now. Referring back to the 71 players in camp right now. We got so many people on this roster, and most of them know they're not even going to have a chance sniffing this team. But let's talk about the infielders right now, because they are fighting for that backup role. And you got Jimmy Rollins, the veteran, in camp. Gordon Beckham, Connor Gillespie, Aaron Hill, Kelby Tomlinson, and of course Swang. And wow, there's like one of those guys is going to make the team. Maybe another one will accept an assignment down in AAA. Certainly not a Rollins or anything like that. But what do you guys think? Who do you think has the upper hand in this battle, and why?
Oof.
There's not anybody who it's interesting. Jimmy Rollins is been getting work in his second, and apparently starting. I think he started one game at second, and he may start another one.
Or yesterday or today, yeah.
Yeah, he had 1/3 career inning at second base in all of his major league experience, so it was interesting.
So it seems like he's trying to, nail that down.
Yeah, I mean, if you can play both sides of the infield, you've got a much better chance of getting a spot than if you're just a good backup shortstop. And
he's so old. He's so old. The thing is if he's
how old is he?
You're setting up for your mama joke right
I know. How old is he?
He's so old that I worked with his uncle. No,
oh my God.
I'm not kidding. I literally worked with his uncle at Marshall Fields. But
that's funny.
And it is. I think Huang's gonna get it. I told you, Huang's my guy last time we talked about it. I think he's gonna surprise people. I think that sometime this year he might take over at third base.
I feel like I'm leaning probably Kelby with a side of Gillespie, possibly. Mm-hmm. I actually am wondering, because there's such a good indication that Nick Hundley is probably going to end up being the backup catcher. I'm wondering if that means there's a space for Trevor Brown on this team, or if he starts putting in some work at first, because Trevor Brown made a decent showing last year, or if that means that he becomes the everyday in AAA.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah, and I haven't done the research in terms of how many options these guys have left, like Trevor Brown and stuff.
Yeah,
but,
no, I don't have that handy.
But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Hundley makes the team. I don't know if you read that article about what he did in the offseason after he signed with the Giants.
He watched every single pitcher.
Yeah, he watched video of every single Giants pitcher.
I respect that a lot.
I mean, that come on.
I feel like any catcher about to get signed with the team should do that thing, but it was newsworthy because he did. So yeah. I mean,
because not every catcher does that. So I thought that was pretty cool. He put in a lot of work right there, and he's gotten really good reports from a couple of the pitchers so far. So I do see that potentially happening, that Hundley makes the team, and that Brown's got to start the year at Sacramento. But as far as the infield side, I know that they're going to try out Rollins at third base in a couple of weeks. Bochy said today, so they're trying him all over the infield, but I don't think he's going to make the team. Beckham, I think, is way too far of a long shot. Yeah, I would put my money right now, just kind of a gut feeling on Gillespie. Kind of flip-flopping with you, Ben, leaning more Gillespie than Tomlinson, even though Tomlinson's fulfilled the role before.
And I mean, even you got a guy as aging veterans go, you got a guy like Aaron Hill coming in and playing as an NRI. I think did he get he's non-roster, right?
Yeah, he's non-roster.
Going crazy, right? I mean, in 78 games for Milwaukee last year before he ended up with Boston, he was hitting 283. I mean, there's but at the same time, we've got some proven quantities that are sitting down there right now that are on the roster, that have worked with the team. Hill has to work considerably harder to break in, but he's an outside shot.
Well,
I'd say he still has an outside shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, it almost seems like the team realized that they had an extended spring training this year, and they're kind of like, screw it, let's just sign a bunch of guys. Let them
Bring
all
in
fight
whoever,
it out for the
See if they can. If
right.
they can't land here, maybe they land
look,
somewhere else.
Right. I mean, these are all guys like Jimmy Rollins we hate. Aaron Hill, was annoying when he was a Diamondback. Gordon Beckham was, he was a breath of fresh air last year, but I didn't even think he'd be in camp again this year. It's like they just said, screw it, let's just get a bunch of these guys and let them fight each other for it.
We got all this time. We don't even have to make cuts for like 3 weeks. Just let them play, see what happens.
Yeah,
right.
And I think I know that Marty was talking specifically about Michael Morse, and we could talk about the outfielders next. But for a lot of these guys, like a Morse and potentially like a Rollins, I think they know they're not making the team, but this is basically an extended workout for them.
Well, and I mean, you're potentially like
it may lead into another contract somewhere else. So.
But you knock on wood, you're basically 2 injuries away from Jimmy Rollins' backup utility infielder.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
It's because when you look at the chart, I mean, your next best options after Kelby and Connor are pretty much Jimmy Rollins and Gordon Beckham, depending on how Aaron Hill plays this season. And he'll start it off okay, but 9 at bats. So.
Well, somebody like Morse already said he would go to Sacramento if he needed, because he knows the grueling part of a season. He understands he might be called up for a week here, a week there. Especially this year, don't we have like a 10-day DL now all of a sudden? So I could totally see Morse going to Sacramento and shuttling up for a week and a half stint and then go back down for like a week or 2 or a month. Somebody else in the outfield gets injured or some, corner infielder, Belt maybe gets injured, please.
Now, you bring up a good point. I forgot about the DL change
Knock.
from 15 to I think it was 10 or something.
Right.
That's interesting, isn't it? Huh.
I think that's
to be honest, I missed that. I didn't realize Morse would be willing to accept a AAA assignment. That's actually good.
Yeah. He wants to be a Giant.
He really liked this organization. Can you blame him? Like, this organization treated him really well. Good for him. That's awesome.
And I guess
it
Bobby
takes a lot of
Evans
pride to be able to say that.
at Hunter Pence's wedding, that's how he got invited to camp.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I hadn't heard about that. That's
yeah,
fantastic.
The conversation just came up, and he basically said some of those things like, hey, I think I got something left in the tank, and I love the Giants. I just love the Giants, So Bobby's like, we'll invite you to camp. Sure, why not?
Like, you think you do? You're willing to go to?
Yeah.
See you in March.
You willing to be a river cat?
Hey, what are you? Hey, so Michael, what are you up to in March? Yeah.
So, what? The Giants are going to carry 5 outfielders, right? Is that kind of the idea?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, they said that they're not going to carry as many pitchers as they have in the past. They'll carry an extra outfield.
Sounds like they're going to start with 12 pitchers and carry an extra outfielder. So,
like Gorky's is in, I think.
I think with 5, Gorky's for sure is in.
I think
Gorky's
the
is
loser.
your, like, token speedy ass off the bench.
Well, Jared Parker's the guy that's jumped out for the left field lead because he's hit a couple bombs, he hit a double. He's looked good so far. Like. It was impressive. He had a double down the line, and he kept his weight back on the pitch so well. It looked like he was just a smarter hitter. But I mean, we're still 31 days out of opening day.
Right. You still have a chance of like a Parker Williamson and like platoon or something like that too.
Right.
Yeah.
Like at least to start the year.
And Bobby Evans he seemed to be, I wouldn't say offended by the notion of having a platoon, but he was like, why not?
Sure.
Why don't we just have one of these guys? Because they were like, so what about a Parker Williamson platoon? And he's like, why does it have to be a platoon? Why not one of these guys just wins the position outright? Okay.
I mean, going into spring training, you can want anything you want.
Yes.
How about Matt Cain takes the number 1 spot?
Yeah. Whoa. Hey,
why couldn't he?
It's not 2009.
Yeah,
6.
that's the reason.
Wait, no,
why,
it's not 2007, maybe.
Right. But
at least 2012 was his last good year, right?
Wow, I had to go back a long way there.
Yeah. So so we got Span and Pence, Gorky's, Parker, and Williamson, right? Would you think those are the 5 to start the year?
I mean,
yeah. I mean, there's almost nobody else who's in the outfield that really is going to show like that really has any realistic chance at coming up besides those guys, right?
Yeah.
Like, probably not going to be Austin Slater, even though he's got the most plate appearances out of anybody on the team right now.
Well, Gillespie played left
Austin
field
Slater
the other
bobblehead
day.
day coming soon.
Most at bats. I don't know if he has the most plate appearances because I don't have those stats handy. Austin Slater bobblehead day. I hate you.
We could always want. We can always dream.
Sheesh.
Oh man.
I'm really excited to see Jae Gun Hwang do stuff, but I think Jae Gun Hwang is going to be doing stuff in maybe Sacramento or maybe Richmond. Like I think Jae Gun Hwang is probably good enough for the show that he's going to move up fast.
Yeah, I think he's going to, unless something weird happens, I do think he's going to stay in the organization, and I think he'll have a taste of the major leagues at some point this year. But yeah, it's just one of those things where we just got to see how he does this spring, and with the fierce competition in very few spots, I would just be very surprised if the Giants started with that choice. That's all. I think that they could go to him later, but I think they're going to give it to a veteran or one in their organization first.
He's the kind of guy, I think, that by the end of spring, the Giants players are going to be like, we need this guy.
And that could happen, sure. I mean, if he just blows the socks off of everyone, and they're like, man, this guy is, as advertised, and he's as versatile as they say, and I mean, I only want him to make their major league team as if he's going to do that bat flip every time, because that would. But
he said he was going to tone it down. So whatever. I mean, the thing about Hwang is I think it just becomes the financial concern versus the financial and developmental and long-term concern versus the short-term looks really good out of spring training concern.
Well, he's another guy who said he'll go to Sacramento. He doesn't care if he has to play in Sacramento and then get called up.
Because he goes to Sacramento, there's a real good chance he gets called up halfway through the year if he's destroying Sacramento, let's face it.
Yep. Yeah. It's going to happen.
Like, that's kind of what I want to see out of Ty Block, I'm not going to lie.
Yes. Amen.
Ty Block, man. He's got a lot of promise, to tell you that much.
Ty Block's the truth, but I need him to start in Sacramento because the rotation is a logjam, and unless he's going to actually oust Matt Cain into the bullpen, which I do not see happening, Ty Block does not need bullpen time. He needs starter time. So
I don't think Cain would accept a middle relief position at the beginning of the year. I think it would have to take him falling from grace to just accept that
point, kind of like, and we've seen that. He's willing to swallow his pride because when you get to the end, Cain's a workhorse. Even if he can't hold up horse status, he's gonna go in there and he's gonna do his job. But for pride's sake, and Bochy being a player's manager, you don't start him in the bullpen. Not if he's showing at least good enough to be a fifth starter status. Easy.
Yeah, and especially for a guy that with his few innings as Block. I mean, it's not going to happen to start the season.
And with a pedigree like Cain's too,
Yeah.
Well, his ERA is under 6, or maybe
that's all you want out of a fifth starter, right?
Right. I mean, seriously, Cain doesn't have to do much.
Pitch an 8.5.
Keep your ERA down. I mean, as long as it's not double digits, Cain's going to be the fifth starter. So.
Yeah. No, he should definitely start. It would take a pretty dramatic, precipitous drop. I mean, if you're talking, 6 starts into the season. Yeah, he's got a 9 or 10 ERA. I think at that point they got to make a decision, and they'll certainly be getting pressure from fans and maybe management.
Oh yeah, but on the other hand, if he makes a decent 5 ERA showing and the Giants' offense at least kind of holds up sometimes on a good day,
that once or twice or something,
right. Then I think the fans at least kind of settle into the idea of Matt Cain is our fifth starter now, and you know what, he's still Matt Cain. This is going to be okay, and it's well. We'll see, but for now, I think there's no reason that Cain doesn't take that fifth starter spot unless Block absolutely blows him clear out of the water, and I see it being at least a little more competitive than that.
Yeah. Plus, you got your Albert Suarez as your swing guy and spot starter too, and so
Suarez filling the new Yusmeiro Petit hole in the
new Petit
bullpen,
basically.
And then maybe he looked good in long relief last year, so I'm not even mad about that. No. You're fine.
I think he accepts that. No problem.
Yeah.
He'll get his.
How are you guys feeling about the new younger bullpen, the one that sent Romo to Los Angeles and got Javier Lopez a job in the booth?
I know, right?
Are you guys feeling pretty good about it? Because I'm actually feeling better than I thought I would. You know, guys
I'm
like Derek
feeling
Law
okay
look
about
good,
it.
and Suarez actually
Obviously,
really nicely.
you know, Casilla had run his course. That
Sure.
whole thing had
Which-
run into a cancer.
Yeah.
So I think that just had to be excised. I think, you know, the Lopez thing, it's like they told him he didn't have a spot. He said he still had something in the tank, but admittingly, he was very inconsistent and uncharacteristically a high walk rate, you know, this past year.
Right.
He'd come in
Well,
and
and
face
like
that
that-
lefty and walk the guy, and you're like, shit, you know, this is
Kind
this
of
is not
in
the
the
Lopez we
that
know.
is what it is category though. Like looking at the new guys who are coming up, like, are you feeling pretty good about moving forward with the younger, newer bullpen? Because like, I'm feeling pretty decent about it, especially with the addition of Melanson as sort of that veteran hand at the back. Like I'm feeling really good about Derek Law. I'm feeling really good about Albert Suarez. I mean, it's, you know, there's a lot of I think really strong talent in this up and coming bullpen. So I'm actually feeling pretty good about that part of the team.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling really good about
Well,
it. I guess I'm a little surprised that Romo was not even considered, I guess. I'm not surprised he's not on the team. I'm surprised he wasn't considered by management over
It's almost like the
any
same,
of these
like,
other
we
guys.
just have to move forward thing.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's like, oh, the core four, yeah, let's just get rid of them all. Oh, the last three all at once, you know? It's just really weird because he's still, you know, he's 33 years old. And I think what bothered the Giants was not his performance because his ERA was under 3. It was 2.84 or something like that. So his stats were fine, but it's his injuries. He started to get injured more frequently, and I think they looked at the future and they just were like, look, we can't have this setup guy or setup guy come in and then just be out for a month and then be out for another week here and then be out for another 3 weeks here. And I think they just wanted
and the
to rely on
chances that
someone.
Romo's going to create a logjam by doing that too, where you've got like guys who aren't sure where they like as an organization you can say, look, Sergio, you've done a lot of work for us, but we're going to go ahead and move on. But it's partly because we've got these younger guys who we know have the consistency and who we think have the stuff that we want to be able to say, hey, look, rest assured you've got this spot in the organization, not we're waiting to see if Serge can hold himself together long enough to put you in the, you know. It's a point, I think, at which you lose some of that organizational stress because the trade-off for what Romo was putting out wasn't necessarily worth the uncertainty.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you. Romo wasn't putting up bad numbers. He was having a couple of stinkers here and there, but he wasn't putting up bad numbers, and he really kind of pulled it together towards the end of the season. More so, at least. Well,
No,
maybe not
he
the end,
absolutely
but like
did.
in the middle.
Yeah, not the very end, like the
Maybe
very
not the
last
very end, but
inning.
he pulled it together, you know, quite a bit, considering how the bullpen started the year, and that it's the trade-off thing. Yeah, it's the balance of this guy being, you know, in sometimes not good condition versus this guy, you know, not always being able to, like, the numbers didn't line up with being able to keep somebody on the roster that you're constantly going to be seesawing back and forth from Sacramento.
And for those of you out there that are still griping about him being a traitor, we talked about this last time.
I wrote a letter.
What?
Like he not like a letter, but like a
He
note
texted,
on like his Instagram or something. Or
Yeah,
no,
he texted Murph
right.
too, or sorry,
Yeah.
Mac from the Murph and Mac show on KMBR. But just for those of you that still think that maybe you're not clear on why he made this choice, you know, just let's spill it out here. He only had offers from Tampa Bay and Los Angeles. The Giants told him, they straight out told him, you do not have a role here. We are not signing you. That's it. Plain and simple. Go look elsewhere. He's from L.A. His family's in L.A. He grew up a Dodger fan. So he's not going to go out to Tampa Bay, not to mention the fact that the Dodgers are going to be more competitive than Tampa Bay. So for all
Right,
of those
the
who
Dodgers
think that
as
he's
a
a
payroll
traitor
probably
and
could
he hates the
borrow
Giants and he
that.
was trying to burn the Giants, that's not what he was trying to do. It was basically his only opportunity. And so you got to just say, okay, well, that's business. And
Good luck
he did
to you,
grow up a
except when
Dodger
you're
fan,
facing us,
so
and
it is what it is, you know?
It's
It
going to be
just
hard
hurts a
seeing
little
him
bit,
on that
yeah.
team next year, but we already talked about all that last episode. Go back and listen to it if you want to hear us moan and whine, because we've kind of moved on a little bit. And
We
it's
like
gonna be
Sergio.
weird, but we're going to be
It's
okay.
just going to be a little weird, but that's okay.
We're going to be okay, everyone.
We're going to be okay, man. It's all right. Maybe he'll pull a Jason Schmidt or something and just get tattooed all over the place. All right, so, gosh, you guys don't have a why we'll win it all. Let's save that for the next time. It's too early in spring training.
All right.
Oh, do you have one?
No.
Nah, let's save it till next
I'll
time.
save it. Yeah, trust me, I'll save it.
Huang. It's Huang, right?
This
your
Huang's
answer.
No, it's not.
This Huang's for you.
It's not. I
All
swear
right.
to you, it's not.
It's
I
not
swear to you,
Jigen
it's
Huang.
not.
Jigen Huang isn't the
No.
secret truth? All right.
We're gonna keep it
All right.
Rollins. Wait, what?
What? No.
God, we're getting bad.
It's none of those. I was just eating some M&Ms. Don't worry about it.
Eric, you're gonna start screaming Gorkies again. Gorkies.
No. Well, I mean, Gorky's is the key, man. Come on. Don't even get me started.
Chad.
The key
He makes
to the
so much
odd year
easier.
championship runs.
But
Chad-
he's gonna be a better Blanco than Blanco. That's what it is. He's a better Blanco than Blanco.
Muy Blanco.
Chad,
See.
Chad, I'm just
Mucho
saying, you're gonna kill me, Smalls.
Oh man, we gotta go on these puns all day. We better end this now. I've got to get up early in the morning, so we'll
Yeah,
save why we'll
fair
win
enough.
it all till we get a little bit further into the season. But
To
just
any
a
part of the
reminder,
season, spring training included.
yeah, well, we'll do that.
It's a week. It's been a week
Right.
It's been a week of spring training. I know
It
we have
hasn't even been a week. I don't
5
know.
weeks left
of games.
We'll have
of
our
games.
season preview for
Right.
sure. Hopefully, we'll have at least one, if not two, more spring training episodes before our season preview, which we do every year, and we typically give our kind of our win predictions, MVP predictions, those kinds of things. So that's always a fun thing.
Mine are terrible every
talk about.
time. And it'll be
Yeah.
great.
I had a good streak going until last year. Last year, I didn't. It was bad.
Yeah.
But we'll pull out those
I try to
numbers.
convince everybody that the Giants are going to win it all, and then they don't.
And then they don't. They were on their way. But all right,
They
for those of
were.
you new to the podcast, I would say check out the interviews that I did at Media Day. I got in various amounts Mark Melanson, Jeff Samardzija, Matt Moore, Bruce Bochy, Hunter Pence, Buster Posey, and Brandon Crawford. Those are up on our website and also our YouTube channel. You can also find those things and others on our Facebook page, facebook.com/TortureCast, as well as Twitter @TortureCast. You can find me on Twitter @ChadK21. You can find Ben @Fried Duck. That's with 2 Ds, Fried Duck. For the absent Willie Dills, you can also find all of his stuff on Twitter at Willie Dills SF, and or that's his Twitch account, I should say, Willie Dills SF. He has a lot of really cool gaming stuff going on there, and of course Eric @2outhits. That's with the number 2. And gentlemen, do you guys have anything to pimp? Podcast, products, anything? Your soul?
Sure.
got?
Soul's an option. It's going for cheap because I live in San Francisco, and that's about the only way that you can afford it here. Otherwise, I've actually been doing a web series about a fictional wrestling promotion set in San Luis Obispo using the World Wide Wrestling role-playing game system. It's called Ace Alley Wrestling. It's based out of the Ace of Geeks, an online nerd blog and geek website that I've worked with for a little bit now. And just a bunch of friends and I get together, pretend to be wrestlers, get really ridiculous with everything, and we'll do one quote-unquote pay-per-view show every month and write out some online reading material about like what happens during the shows in between and stuff in the meantime when we're getting ready to kind of build up for each new show. So it's a good time. We all get together. We get really loud. We live stream it on Twitch and then post it on YouTube later. So if you're interested in checking it out, you can check out that project at acealley.wrestling.com.
That's pretty cool.
It's real silly.
I gotta check that out too, because you got this wrestling thing going on, and then Willie's got a new wrestling show too. With
He actually
Justin
is doing
Robert
like
Young.
a show about actual wrestling. I'm
Yeah,
just
but
saying, and
actual
I'd like-
wrestling, not the role playing stuff. Yeah,
Right. I've thought about trying to do that at some point, but on the other hand, it's really fun getting to pretend to book a wrestling promotion because I run the game instead of playing one of the wrestlers, and I have like there's all these little plot threads floating around in my head trying to figure out how to like put them down on paper. So if you're into that kind of thing, just come on over, hop into the chat during our live stream, or hop onto YouTube and tell them that TortureCast brought you here.
That's cool. Eric, you got anything going on?
I don't have a damn thing.
Not a damn thing.
Eric, you want in on a wrestling No, we meet in
Nope.
person. It'd be a little tough. It's
I
okay.
know.
Yeah.
I myself used to
I
have
got-
several of those things going on, and I just don't have time anymore. Man, it's sad.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need-
I got 100 things going on, but none of them that I want to plug here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's many things I care not to reveal on this podcast that
Right.
not fulfill my life. They fill my life, but they don't fulfill my life.
Guys, let me tell you about my Dungeons and Dragons campaigns. I just
Yeah, anything from parenting podcast to a kid's YouTube channel have kind of withered on the vine. It's tough to keep up with these things. So
It is. It really is.
oh yeah,
But we thank you for listening to the Torture Cast and keeping up with us, because baseball's here, and I think we're all kind of chomping at the bit for it.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for listening. What is this? Episode 116. Hopefully we'll be back in a week or two for episode 117, right in the meat of the WBC and spring training. I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about then. Hopefully nothing injury-related as far as the Giants are concerned, so we can always hope for that. But in the meantime, for the absent Willie, for Ben, and for Eric, this is Chad signing off. We'll see you next time. Boom.
A big thank you to everybody for listening to the Torture Cast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. Follow us on Twitter at TortureCast. You can also like us on Facebook or check out our blog at torturecast.com. I also want to say thank you to Ashcon and Bailey for letting us use their song Feeling Like a Giant for our intro. For Ben Lee and Chad King, my name is Willie Dills saying, we'll see you next time.